Okay, so Twitch integration, in principle, is pretty easy. You could program it in a day. It's just a case of there's a lot of things you have to know. So I'm going to make you know it by the end of this. But it's still going to be pretty, like, it's going to be somewhat complicated, but it is a small problem. Like, there's not that much size in the actual problem itself. It's just quite complex. So it's really, it's kind of game engine neutral. It doesn't matter if you're using Unreal Engine or Unity or anything. Like, it's going to work in anything because all it is reading text. So you're just grabbing the channel, which is just IRC, and you're just reading the text in. Okay, so most of your actual work is going to be UI work, which I find a nightmare. But if you like that stuff, then it's really, like, you could really ship extremely quickly. You could take a game that you've already made and just throw in Twitch features, and it really doesn't take that long. And it gets streamers really interested in the game, right? Because they, like, it gets more interaction between the streamer and the fans, so they're more likely to play your game. So the hardest part is actually balancing it, because if you imagine, I imagine most of you aren't super famous streamers, right? So it's not like you have 10,000 people in your room to practice whether it will go horribly wrong. So you need to kind of, eventually you might have to simulate what it's like to have 10,000 people in a room because you physically can't do it yourself unless you're already ultra famous, in which case, give me your card. Anyway, so the talk's in C#, and it's programming heavy, so I'm really sorry if you don't care about programming. I'm going to try and keep, the talk's kind of in 3 parts. Programming section, here's the stuff in the game, and then if we've got time, we'll talk about other stuff. But yeah, so the actual process. First, you've got to authorize your game, right? So now we're going to flip into Opera, the first seamless transition. And what happens is, this is the actual Twitch guide on how to do this. I'm sure you can read a guide, but pretty much you go to this website, and it lets you register your app. And then you just click through, you get your own key for the app, and then you can add that into your game, right? So your game now works with Twitch. And you don't even, as far as I know, Twitch don't have to do anything on their end. It's automatic. So you just you get your key back, and you're done. But if you don't want to do that, you can actually practice with this website, which is called twitchapps.com/TMI. And they give you their one, and you can just use their key. And you can check that your game works, right? So then you get the user's OAuth, right? Well, so what happens is the user is going to want to stream from the game. So they have a Twitch key in their dashboard, and if you have access to that Twitch key, you can stream from them. You can do anything, like you can take over their account violently, right? So you want to grab their key so that you can, in fact, you shouldn't take over people's Twitch account. Let me make that very clear, right? You should legitimate business. But anyway, so this stream key will let you post and read from their chat. In fact, you can read from the chat without their key, but if you want to post as them, so if you want to like leave a message that says, "Hey everyone, start voting," then you'll want to get that, right? Then we're going to connect to Twitch's servers. Now the problem is Twitch is an evolving platform, and in 2 years it might not be as it is now. Luckily, Twitch is set up that you can grab the information you need from Twitch. So if they change everything, there's parts of the website you will be able to steal the new information. So even if your game is old, it should be able to find the new information from the Twitch website. So we're going to future-proof it. Then we read and write the messages, which is pretty simple. And then the game logic, so voting, blah, 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 stuff like that. Right, so let's start by grabbing the server, and this is where it gets boring, so I'm sorry. Right, so we're in Unity, right? So this is an IE numerator, so it's asynchronous, so this is running all the time. And we post in the channel name, so this is like the user's username pretty much, their channel, right? And we connect to this address, TMI Twitch servers, look. And if I go in here and type that in, you'll see it gives me this. This is the result it gives me, right? So it gives me cluster, Amazon Web Server, servers, chat. There's the port. This is the server address. So this is what I was talking about. If you connect to here, Twitch will tell you exactly how to connect to this thing, right? So here, this is IRC. By default, we use irc.chat.twitch.tv, right? So this is a fallback. If you've not managed to grab anything or there's an error, then you can just use this standard port and it should work, and it will work nowadays, right? So here's some regex, which is great. You can feel free to steal this on YouTube later because it all gets uploaded. But this regex is going to strip the text, and it is basically, if you look at this, it's going to extract the server and the port from there, right? And then it's going to, so this actual server name and actual server port is what we've got, right? So we've got the server now. We can connect. Hurrah. Okay, wasn't that fun? No. Right. So our variables are your username, your channel, which is probably going to be the same unless you want to use a bot that's different. Because you imagine if you want a bot posting in the channel, then you'll want that separately to their username. But I don't care. This OAuth is the streamer's key, right? And then we've also got these other things. We've got the TCP client, so that's how we're going to hook into the IRC, right? The network stream, that's the data we're going to read and write. The stream reader and the stream writer. So the reader's how we're getting information, the writer's how we're giving it. And then I don't even think we're using that bottom one, to be honest. Let's connect. Right, so we have this connect function. We make the stream reader, as I said. You hook them all into each other. You get the stream, reader, writer, self-explanatory. And then you've got to make sure that your username is to lower invariant, because what it'll do is if they have caps lock in their name, it'll just put it lowercase, and Twitch will understand it. Okay. And then we've got this function send at the bottom. I hope you can all read that. It's quite small. But all it does is it gets the writer to write the line. And because the writer is already hooked into the network here, that'll just post, it'll send it through. So you send in, this is how Twitch structures it. You send user, username to, you just follow this exactly, and this is how you hook into Twitch. Right, so you'll connect through that. Let me go back a sec. Yeah, and if you get any problems, you can throw an exception. This literally probably just means there's no internet connection. That's normally the only error that would happen. And then you start listening. So everyone's still following? Is it all right? Yeah, okay, good, cool, awake. So now we've got listen, right? So all that does is it grabs the data stream, and the input line, it reads a line all the time, and then once you've got that data, you parse it, right? So we've got some function that parses, right? We're about halfway on this stuff, hopefully. Right, we're able to read shit from the stream. Now we need to parse it. So you always need to pong. That's the most important thing. First, what happens is we've got the data, and we're going to split it up because it has spaces in it. So we split it by spaces, and if it's more than 4 in length, if it's less than 4 in length, you've got junk. You don't want it. But if it's more than 4 in length, it might be ping. And if it says ping at you, you have to say pong back. It's really important that you pong them. But you just got to do that. All right. Most of this is just hey, you just have to do it. That's just how it works. So we're still in the same function, right? But here's other things we can receive from Twitch. So we can receive this thing, which is called 001. This is the welcome message from the server. And then you want to send this mode username plus B, which is an IRC command, which I think bans you from talking or something. There's some reason they want you to do that, but you have to send that. And then you run this onConnected function. And that sets your, if we look here, we've got the cap requirements, right? So this is just some IRC jargon, and pretty much it enables the several Twitch-specific commands. So it enables all the stuff that Twitch needs to use, right? So you have to send that through. You just do, right? And then you take the channel name. Now, if they've typed their hashtag into the channel, then fine. If they haven't, we need to add the hashtag onto the front. Again, it's lowercase. We send to join. Boom, done. Right, we're in. So now we've got switch. We're in the same function still, because this parse data function not only helps us connect, not only finds us errors and stuff, but it lets us join. It lets us do everything, right? So this is a function that's going to process someone joining. And in that function, you can do whatever you want. I personally do not process that. If someone joins my server, I don't care. But you might want that functionality in your game for some reason. You might want to keep a list of everyone in the server. So this is how you do it. Now, this is how the data is presented. I promise you that what this does is, the second part of that array is the channel name and this junk is the username. So you can grab the channeler in and the user, and you should only need the user, to be honest, right? And then this is a private message, right? And private messages is how all of Twitch works. So this is the God function that lets you do everything, right? This is the most important one. And again, it's the same thing here. You see all this junk is right here, except there's also this at the end, this join array, right? So, and also it checks if it's not your username, right? Because if it is your username, then you don't want to read your own messages, right? Like, because that'll be your bot talking. So you don't want to read stuff that your bot said. Right. So this join array is going to put your messages together. I'll show you how. So now we're going to strip, but in a non-sexual way. This is join array. So we're going to strip the message. This is like, what it does is, we take everything in the string, and here's a strip function actually. We take everything in the string and we rip everything out of it. We rip spaces out of it, so if someone presses hello, space, 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 how are you? Then we're going to get rid of all the spaces, and then we're going to add the spaces in afterwards, right? We get rid of colors, we get rid of everything. So this regex magic wizardry will get rid of everything you need, steal it from the talk on YouTube, right? And then this thing will then add spaces in between everything. So now it's going to give you back a string that's usable and workable. Right. A few more. We're nearly done, don't worry. Right. So then this is the clear chat, right? And this one is actually important because if someone goes into your game, right, and like, okay, I'm going to show you my game, right? Right. Am I already connected? Let's check. Right, I'm going to connect to Twitch. And I'm going into my chat room, and so I'll be able to read messages from there now. So what's going to happen is, this is a really old build of the game as well, so I'm sorry for how it looks and whatever. But you need to be able to clear the chat away if someone starts messing about with your chat, pretty much. So I've only got level 1 unlocked on this version. But, OK, Twitch mode. Set up Twitch, right? What we can do is this. We authorize the app, right? Please tell me, is it that I've not got an internet connection? This is the talk that's predicated on the internet. Yeah, we've got it, right. Watch this. So we authorize the app, right? And it's going to send back the data, and it's going to be like klucz do stupa or whatever, and then you can nazad and you can go, right? So now we're in the game, right? Then, did you just crash? I'm going to murder it. Do you know what it is? It's because the internet's so slow that it's crashing. So I think it's because there's so many people in the room and everyone has phones. It was working in the test, but now it's not working. So we're just going to have to go purely hypothetical, and we can't even watch it. But clear chat, what it's going to do is it's going to delete all the messages that naughty user who's talking about rude things has talked about. So you want that one, right? This checks if someone quits your server. And then this takes anything else that doesn't fall into these categories is like a server message. You probably don't need that, but you might need it for debugging. So when we wrap up the code, we can leave the channel, right? So we can send this little thing that's how you leave the channel. You just send this word. If you join a channel, then you just, it's pretty easy, right? You just send the commands through, and you just have to stick in the channel name. Like it's pretty elementary. You just got to know all of these functions as a thing. You've got to have them in there, but they're not difficult to explain. This message one, though, this is when you actually message the server. So this is when your bot talks. So if I actually go in, is that my talk over? Huh? Okay. So this thing disconnects, right? So that's just, you need to turn off your stream, you need to turn off your writer, you need to turn off your reader, and this is for writing into the thing, right? So that's the technical part done. Now the annoying part's done. Let's look at in-game implementation. How much time do I have left?
About 4 minutes.
We're not going to look that much deeply into the, right? So what happens? Hey, look, it's working again, right? So what happens is, right? You can see here, I can go like vibrat dojd, right? So if I go into here, right, and I type it in, right? You see, Oh, it has registered. It's just an old version, right? You see the numbers disappeared. It's because my Russian font is too small. Right, you see now all the votes say 100% here because it's registered the input. And if I type in like PJ Salt, then you see like a salty emote just appeared on screen. Just see there's kind of bears in the way. Let me put Ellie Giggle. Right, you see the evil face. Right, so these things like and I can even talk like, hey ho, how's it going? Right, and so all you need to do then is just take the messages. So here's my script that does it, and it's really big, but really it's predicated on a couple of things. One is that whenever someone says a message, it has this fairy thing that considers it. So it adds it. This is called fairy consideration. It thinks, am I going to say this out loud? Like when I talk about fairy, I'm talking about that. Lol, all those corpses. That little fairy that's floating around you. I'm like, is that fairy going to consider your message a good message? And what happens is, after like a second, it'll look through, check that it's not been moderated away, and then pick a random one from the list of all of your things. So you just store the username and the message together. And then on top of that, you've got this processes everything. So if it starts with a hashtag, then we check, we push the number of votes in, and we just keep everything in a list. And then every time every time there's a new vote, it erases the list, and you can add new users in and check which one's been voted on. This is all do you know I was talking about the emotes? Like if I type in failfish, then failfish is going to appear on screen, right? It's there, not that clear. But so it's extracting everything you need from the message function, taking if you haven't said an emote, then it's going to check, it's going to test whether the fairy should say it, and that kind of handles everything. So pretty much how you implement it yourself is up to you. You just need to know how to read the text then. And my head just exploded, so that's fun. I think I'm over now. But yeah, there's one other crazy thing you can do, and that I showed you before. That's the Twitch setup thing, right? Notice I have no password in here. I don't like making people type their password in on stream, right? Because it's not a good idea for them to type a password on stream. So what I've done is I've set it up so if you click get password, right, it redirects. You're always going to have to redirect them to your website, to this thing at the top. It's just the twitch.tv/OAuth/your token. Right, and it's in your Twitch app. It'll tell you what website to send them to. So you send them through. They can authorize it, right? And then what that does is it says Twitch integration access token received. And you remember there was no password. Boom, password is already there. They don't have to copy and paste anything. They don't have to show anything. It's already there and invisible, and it'll work now. And how this witchcraft works is I set up a web server, and I recommend you don't do this because it's a pain. But you can do this, right? And all you do is I'm not going to go through this because we've not got time. But you store the web page with the HTML, and you write the page and send it through to a local server that you've got. So in Firefox, you send them to your local server. So at 192.168.0.1 or whatever, you're running a server that's going to grab the token from them. Right, so they don't have to copy and paste anything. And this is really good for when you're doing consoles and stuff, because then if they're on a PS4, they're not going to want to copy and paste their PS4, their key on a PS4 because it's really clumsy. But if you can just hook in through a server, then they can just easily grab their key, and then it's fine. And as well, the good benefit of this is if I go back to Ruski, then Twitch mode, right, and ask again. Yeah, like I showed before, now the localization is in Russian. So you can, on top of this, have all the key. And you can localize everything like that. Like all of the votes and stuff will be in Russian if a Russian person's playing. And if an English person's playing your game, then they'll see English. So if I want to vote for a bridge of corpses, then I'm going to vote Most now, if you see. And You get the point. It has tilted the vote, but this is an old version of the game with bad fonts and you can't see, but this is now tilted. Right, so that's the basis of your game. You've got to make sure that whatever you vote for and all your vote effects actually balance your game well. So there's a lot of game design in this. You've got to make sure it's not going to break everything. Like, see, I've now got these ice cubes. I can like jump out the level and now start running around. In fact, this is like an ultimate shortcut. Like I just see. So you can do some really cool stuff with Twitch mode that is normally impossible in your games. So it's really cool. You should do it. It's not hard. Throw it in. Takes a day of programming. If you need any help, tweet me. I've got a thing here. I'm on VK as well. I'm on Instagram. I will respond to anything. So if you come here, like, I'll help you. And also, if you look at the YouTube thing here, all the slides has everything you need. If you literally just typed it out and copy and pasted it pretty much, you'd have Twitch integration running in a day. So I hope that's been helpful. I know it's been a bit like abstract, but hopefully you followed. All right, and that's it.
Thorough guide to implementation Twitch. Are there any questions to our Alex? No? Okay, can I ask you a question? How did you tweak your game design when you implemented Twitch mode?
Okay.
Have you done something with your game design after you implemented Twitch integration?
What, did I rebalance the game? No, well, I got quite lucky because my game's predicated on the idea if you die, your corpse stays behind, right? So see, my body is stay behind. So the game gets easier every time you die. So the whole game's built around the idea that like the world's going to be changing anyway, and there's going to be physics objects in them. So e.g., this one, we've either got a hailstorm or I don't know what Cheryl is.
Skull.
Skull. Oh right. So. Oh no, that's horrible. So what's going to happen is a giant flying skull's going to appear and start killing me. See that? Oh, it's outside the level, so it's fine. But if I just see here, like now it can chase me around. And they're all kind of Twitch skinned. But the thing is, it's not gonna like the game is made to work when there's loads of mayhem going on screen.
Oh, okay.
So I had to balance the Twitch specific stuff. Like the skull can't get you when you're in the coffin, for instance. But like I didn't have to rebalance the game because the game's already like
made for Twitch.
Yeah, just kind of, I didn't design it for Twitch, but it was really easy for me to. So you just got to think of how can you add Twitch to work for your game? How can you complement your game? But moreover, how can you make the users be able to be really evil? Because people love that choice of good and evil pretty much. In fact, I even, like, my vote system knows which choices are good and which are evil, and it will always give an evil vote. Unless they can actually go in here and turn off evil votes. Like all effects, only
helpful, only evil, yes.
Yeah, right. So you can, if the player's bad, they can just ask for helpful ones. But normally it'll try and tilt it towards like, oh, you have a nice option, you have a really evil option. Like, so, and the thing is, it doesn't matter if the game breaks and stuff like that because it's Twitch mode. Like, if it breaks, they're going to enjoy that. They're going to be like, whoa, the game broke, because like that they make money by being wacky. So like, yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right, cheers.
Thank you, everyone.